One.
This is Paul Steinman today on the 163rd edition of the Sports Untold podcast, also on the Seattle-based Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Well, for the third time, my special guest today is the New York Yankees radio play-by-play commentator, Dave Sims. Dave, of course, had a long run as a Mariners broadcaster, and what a treat to have Dave back. Remember when Dave came before the pandemic to the old Rainier Avenue Radio
Oh,
Studios in late
wow.
2019, and
That's right.
uh, different era. And I gave Dave a ride back to his then Seattle condo home, and then Dave graciously came on back in late 21. So 4+ years later, I got Dave back on this podcast. What a treat! Get back to Dave in a minute. My assistant producer and sidekick is Olivia Coyne. Olivia has also been a lead interviewer on this podcast. Known Olivia a long time. Her dad's a close friend. Olivia is now a first-year Seattle law student and loves sports, and she is still helping out with this podcast. What a treat. My podcast is now on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Google, iTunes, Podbeam. You go to sportsuntouldpodcast.net. You can listen to my show on these different outlets. You can also go to my law firm website, plslawoffices.com. And a lot of people just find this show by Googling Sports Untold YouTube. Well, Dave, I mentioned you a minute ago. You continue to have yet a nearly, 18-year run, I think, in Seattle, and you have a real fondness for the Mariners fans, the Pacific Northwest. I know you're a New Yorker, Dave. I know you're now a Yankees broadcaster, but JFK once referred to himself as a Berliner.
That's
Is Dave
right.
Dim still kind of a Seattleite?
Being Seattleite.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that
yeah,
well. Old enough to remember that. Oh my God, that's
yeah.
yeah.
Had to
That,
throw that in there.
once Toronto finished bashing our heads in, I was rooting like crazy for the Mariners. 8 outs away from the World Series. It was very exciting watching the build up to it. And oh man, very disappointing when who was it? Who went deep? It was it that somebody went. There was home runs that absolutely killed you in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Uh,
we don't
anyway, it was it,
we don't need to repeat his name.
yeah. I forgot he killed us too. Anyway, yeah, I was rooting for you guys and rooting for the fellas. I mean, I still know the coaching staff and ownership and front office people. So yeah, heck yeah, I was now. Had we been able to hold our own against Toronto and played you guys in the World Series, all bets are off. I mean, in the ALCS, all bets are off. But
That's the
you know,
business.
it would have been fun. And people were even. I had people in Seattle and even New York says we want a Dave Sims ALCS. Oh, brother.
What a treat, Dave, to have you back. Dave, I'm going to start with my first question is Rick Rizzs, your longtime colleague with the Seattle Mariners. Rick has been a longtime Seattle Mariners broadcaster. He recently announced his retirement after the 26th season. Feel free to give a couple thoughts about Rick and maybe mention a fun memory you have of working with Rick Rizzs.
Well, I mean, good friend, great broadcaster. Why he's not in the Mariners Hall of Fame right now is beyond, I don't get that. I mean, talk about a bad swing and a miss. I mean, the guy's totally dedicated to the team, the franchise, the organization. Uh, and, we had a lot of laughs over the years, and I think it was great. I think I'm 9 months older than he is. So he got all my references. I got all of his references. We would crack each other up. And it was just a lot of laughs, traveling with him all those 18 years. He was very welcoming when I got there. I mean, you talk about, I thought going the first day, first week or month of college was interesting in a weird kind of way because, you're not in familiar territory at all, and you're meeting new people all the time. And Rick and Dave and Kevin Kremen, they were all tremendously welcoming and made me feel at home pretty much immediately. And yeah, we had a great run.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think Olivia has a question, another one of your famous broadcasting colleagues.
I do. I was younger for this, but Niehaus just there are always great stories about him and working with him. Do you have a favorite that you like to tell?
Some of them, not all of them, are arable. No, he was great. The voice, the pipeline, the lifeline of the organization for my goodness for a long time. And I was fascinated in that he started in 77 and there were so few games on TV. So he was the only connection you had there. And, he told a lot of great stories about his time with Gene Autry, the Angels, working with Don Drysdale, who's, as you can see behind my right ear, picture of me and Don Drysdale, Yankee Old Timers Day, 1980. It was one of my favorite players growing up. And he used to talk about, we'd be halfway through a flight going east to west or west to east, and saying, "There's Grand Platte, Nebraska." Old cowboy Gene Autry was telling stories about what he did down there. Just crazy stuff like that. He had and hanging out with Bob Uecker, and he he was a good storyteller. You could always get a laugh with him, and he was around long enough that he knew just about everybody. So it was a lot of fun being around Dave.
Love it, love it. Dave, one thing I've had fun in getting to know you a little bit is I like picking your brain a bit about other sports as well. I know you've been a commentator on sports way beyond baseball. On that note, have you had a chance to watch the Winter Olympics at all this year? Any thoughts?
Um, what? It's not been must see TV for me, but I'll come into the den and my wife is watching figure skating, and first of all, I get tremendous respect for all those folks. Um, and there's incredible beauty to figure skating, soloists, the pairs. So I find myself, I don't know who these people are from Adam, but just to watch it and experience, their skill, their athleticism, uh, the beauty, the flow of the sport, I find very exciting. Um, Outside of that, I'm really not following it that closely. I mean, if I see some highlights, I see some highlights.
Me too. I got to work during the day, so I don't have a whole lot of time to, watch everything. But yeah, me too. Olivia, jump in there. I know you got another question or two for Dave.
Boy, do I. So I'm sure you get this a lot, but I have to say it again. Your voice has just been a part of some of the best moments of my life and my relationships with people. And thank you for that. It really
You're
is
welcome. A
so
pleasure.
cool. What's it like to be the voice of these memories for people? Like, do you feel a lot of pressure? Is it a huge honor? How do you like to look at it?
Well, it's no pressure. It's very cool. And because I did the same thing to so many guys, like when I was breaking in, say, like when I was a sports writer breaking in back in the 70s, and I'd be doing games and I'd see legendary broadcasters. And I wouldn't do a total fanboy, but I'd just say, "Hey," I'd introduce myself and I really enjoy your work, that kind of stuff. And now it's coming back. It sounds in New York, everybody. I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry. Tell you what, during the pandemic, we were hearing that almost seemed like every couple 3 minutes. It was unbelievable. Really sad. But yeah, I since I left, and then I guess last year, so what's that, 13, 14 months ago, I got a lot of social media and text people, talking about that, him being a soundtrack of people's lives. It's very heartwarming, to be honest with you. I mean, because I've been a sports fan since I was a little peanut, and so it's very cool. As I like to say, it doesn't get me on the subway, but I mean it's nice. The beauty of humanity is that you can say and do nice things, and it means a lot. It really does. And the other thing that tickles me is that now that I'm back east, I run into guys. "Hey man, I used to stay up late and watch the first 3, 4 innings of you guys, before I go to bed. If I said, man, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time, you're still up." So that's been really cool hearing those kind of stories as well.
Sports are pretty cool in that way, just ability
Yeah,
to bring people together and make them feel good.
yeah,
Um,
the great connector, no question about it.
to kind of piggyback off of that, obviously you did go to the enemy, but you had great reason for it, and I think me and all the other fans were just happy for you. I saw a lot on social media about how people couldn't be mad and they were excited. Did you see the comments like that? And how did that make you feel?
Um, you know, greatly and sometimes sadly, I read too much social media, but it's great. People call it trader. Come on, it's a capitalistic move. I get a chance to be at home. I get a chance to work in the most renowned franchise in North American sports and one of the top 3 or 4 renowned franchises in the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have close friends said, had you not taken it, I was going to buy a round trip ticket to Seattle. I was going to kick your butt and then come home for not taking that job. So,
Yeah, totally. I think
yeah,
it's such an interesting situation considering our probably very one-sided of hatred for New York, but it just how much you did for all of us. I think we're all just really excited for you.
well, I appreciate it. Now, it was, you know, if I didn't have, yeah, maybe if I didn't have East Coast ties, maybe I don't take it. But, you know, being an I-95 guy, born and raised in Philly, lived in New York my entire professional life, I mean, it became a no-brainer.
Yeah, there's so much to be said. I mean, I'm a diehard Seattle fan, and it's because I was born and raised in it, so you
Yeah.
can't deny that.
Dave, I want to ask son, I've been to spring training only in Arizona. I've never been to spring training in Florida. And can you talk about the spring training cultures a bit in Arizona versus Florida? Can you contrast them, maybe how they're different, how they're similar? I'm just kind of curious to get your perspective on the spring training cultures.
I only have the one under my belt. I go down March 11th for this year. I'll tell you what, the biggest thing is that in Arizona, you're within an hour or less of 15, well, 14 other teams because you're right there. If you go to Mariner Camp/San Diego, then you've got, so we have what, 16 teams out there, 15, whatever it is, you're within an hour of going to see a game at any time you want. In Florida, you've got X amount on the Tampa side, X amount on the Miami, East Coast side. So you don't get to see everybody in spring training as you do in Florida, as you do in Arizona. Um, well, I'm trying to remember, when did I get down there last year? I think I got down there last year about the same time. I was there last week, 10 days. I think we did that last, that's what it was, 12 days. I did 7 games. Traffic is a bear. It took forever to get from Tampa to Port Charlotte for a game. But other than that, it's the same. I mean, the Yankees have, the main stadium, and then you've got multiple fields around the stadium, and you make your way around and take it all in. You go watch the pitchers over here, the outfielders, the hitters here, that whole thing. So it's baseball. It's not a big world of difference. My camera just shifted. Looked like it did.
Real good. Dave, do the teams put the players and staff into housing down in Florida, Arizona for during spring training?
That's a very good question. I know that the kids, the rookies, I know that it was the hotel right across the street from the complex in Arizona. And then a rookie stay there. Just a matter of fact, at least two hotels that I'm aware of. And then I know what the Mariners did. They put them in, they rented housing for them, a couple of months. And I don't know what the Yankees do, but I'm sure it's very similar. A lot of those guys, like like Judge has a home there. And there's a few other guys that live in Florida too. So it makes it easy for them.
Yeah, I could ask you more about spring training. Want to keep the interview moving though. Olivia, jump in.
Um, this I'm a huge scorebook nerd.
Wow, good for you.
Oh God, I love it. I think it's such a cool way for fans to stay in the game. Do you have a specific brand of scorebook you like? Do you use pen, pencil? What are your essential scorekeeping materials?
Um, I wish I could show it to you. It's upstairs. I use Bob Carpenter's scorebook.
I've read
I
about that
used
one.
to use, and it's really good. And I used to use one that Dave Niehaus had. It was an oversized book, and it must have weighed 8 to 10 pounds. And I said, "Nah, I don't think I'm gonna do this." And hardcover and everything. And I did that for like a year or two. And then well, actually, I had enough for a whole spring for the whole season. It would be about this thick. Then I cut it down. I said, "Give me a half. I'll take first half, second half." Then I said, "It's too heavy. Come on." So now I've been using the Bob Carpenter scorebook for, oh God, it's been a while. So where it's 2016, at least 10 years, at least, maybe probably more. Uh, I use ink. I use highlighters. I keep my little erase, correct tape handy nearby, and I color code everything. Strikeout, green, blue for walks, orange for double play, red for RBI, and I think, oh, yellow for pitching change. So it almost looks like a baseball mosaic,
I kind of love that. I'm taking really good notes on this. I need to
And when
implement
we're
some of
done,
it.
I can send you a picture of it. I
Oh,
think I have
so
some stuff on
cool.
my phone. Uh, and and for me, the recognition, because you're always recapping the game, whether you're on radio, TV, as you move, because people are not watching pitch one, pitch last, they're in, they're out. So you got to recap, and it makes it easy for when I look over here, the Yankees in the fourth inning, 4 runs on 5 hits, a home run by Judge, a home run by Wells, and I've got everything, and I see it. I don't have to search for it. The colors bring me right to that point. And I keep score pretty basic. I learned this from one of my high school coaches. Uh, you got the square, and so a little dash is a single, two's a double, three, four over. And then like if the guy's at first, and I will go if he goes first to third, take a big thing, and it goes to third, and show that the ball went to right field. So now you literally, I can almost call a game from my scorebook from last year, heck, from years ago in the Mariners, and it's unbelievably helpful, and I think it's easy to follow, and I like if you had just picked up my scorebook, you know exactly what was going on, and it doesn't look like chicken scratch.
I
I
love
went to
that.
Catholic school, so my penmanship, my Palmer method of writing is pretty good, and then I print well too. So it really is. Matter of fact, I was on the phone yesterday with a friend of mine, and he was telling me about a pitcher. And I said, wait a minute, we saw him, and I went back and gave me the dates. I found the book, and I said, oh yeah, he went 4 2/3. Yeah, da 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 da. Boom, that's great. And then the other thing too, which Bob doesn't have in the book, but I use it. There's a whole like a linear graph I have and a space provided for such things where I'll have batting average. This is team numbers: batting average, hits, home runs, runners in scoring position, strikeouts, walks, or whatever. If there's 2 out base hits, that kind of stuff. So I have it right there. I don't have to go fumbling. And as it is, I do keep my laptop and my iPad and my phone. So I am like super connected. Something comes up, if I blank on something or something, contrast comparison or word somebody goes, and a lot of times I find it quicker to go to the laptop as opposed to sometimes thumbing through the media guide. And so I can go, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, he went to Liberty University. He's in his 4th year. 3 years in the minors. He's a right-hander. Da, da, da. Here's first pitch. So that stuff, that's so immediate now, as opposed to when I started doing games at ESPN in '93. It almost looks like a TV control room, and it's really cool. I got just a matter of fact, I bought a new stand here to elevate, so to uplift to get my laptop eye level, so when I can do these zooms, and I'll use it to have it sort of out of the way. My wife got me a new keyboard and a mouse, and so I'm all teched out as you need to be doing a baseball broadcast.
I love that kind of stuff. Just the behind the scenes. Do you have a favorite pen? Which is kind of a weird one, but you use
No,
ink.
it's yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is, right here. Let's see. Got the old pouch. I don't know if you can see it. I got the
Oh, yep.
markers. You know what? I started just using the old-fashioned Bic.
Okay.
The Bic stick. If you lose it, it's no loss.
Yeah.
And I was taught years ago when I was at the Daily News, and I had a really good pen. And I remember a guy named Norm Miller. God rest his soul. He's a wonderful guy, funny as heck. He said, young man, you may want to think about just using a little cheaper pen, because at some point you're going to lose that pen in this life, in this occupation. And he was right. And I try not to really splurge. And you get 10 or 15 of those Bics, you're good for the year.
Yeah.
And I keep,
Got one here.
what else? What was the other one? Oh, and that was the other thing. I keep, what did I use red for? I can't remember. I use red for something. The
Oh,
red
I think I
pen.
wrote it. Oh no, I didn't write it.
No, I use the red highlighter for home, RBIs and home runs and stuff. But I use the red for, big, turning points, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's That's a very interesting question, by the way.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. I love it. I like a Pentel Energel because it dries so
Hmm.
fast. So when I'm writing,
Yeah, I've used those. Yeah.
great
Yeah, I
pen.
was using those, and sometimes they have it. They if you don't have the right one, they can bleed through your page, and I have to be careful when I'm like using highlight.
Yeah,
Just do it once. You don't want to go, and then it
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Excuse the corny quip, Dave and Olivia. We get into some unique subjects on Sports Untold.
That's right. Well, aptly titled.
Yeah, right, right.
I have another broadcasting more related question. So you were a catcher
Hmm.
in college,
Yeah.
according to your Wikipedia.
Oh yeah.
That's a I I think we all know this, but such a unique position where you take in so much more of the game than other positions might have to. How do you think that has kind of helped you with your broadcasting?
Huge, and the fact that I was a 4 year starter in high school, played a decent amount of D3 college, played American Legion high level in Philadelphia, very super competitive. God, that's a long time ago. And um, being a catcher, your vantage point, you're looking at everything. Where is everybody? Is everybody in the right position? And then flip side, when we were at bat, I'd see it, same thing. I'd be watching how they position, watch how the other pitcher sequences his stuff. How is his sequencing working against us? What can we use against that team? All of that stuff goes into it. That's one of the reasons I think why you see so many decent amount of managers who are former catchers. I mean, Mike Scioscia and Bruce Bochy come to mind. Joe Girardi, Joe Madden was a catcher. Um, Boy, I probably go. There's probably a heck of a lot more I'm leaving out.
Oh yeah,
But
I mean Dan Wilson, Scott Service are
yeah, there you go, right there.
easy
So
ones. Yeah.
two guys right in my own neighborhood. So yeah, I mean, it's a different dimension, and I think the other thing too. I think the fact that I played high school, starting a little league, but CYO league, playing football, baseball, basketball. The fact that I played so much, I've been a jock all my life, been around it all my life, watching my dad play. I think that has been something that has really been a big help because bad play, you make a bad play, you make a bad play. But I know on the way up, I've heard guys, they're like assassins. Guy makes a bad play. It's not a character assassination. He made a bad play. I want to doing talk radio. Just because he made he had a bad day, made a couple errors. It doesn't make him a bad human being. He's still, his, listen to all the kudos and memorials to Reverend Jesse Jackson. He is somebody. I mean, so what are you doing? It's a game, and and baseball is certainly a game of failure. So you're gonna get that. So I just think the fact that I worked with some guys early on before I got up to the major league and higher level college who didn't play. Oh, I quit playing. I couldn't even play in little league. Damn, we can even play in little league. And in my baseball career, matter of fact, we were just going over this. I've worked with in my broadcast career, worked with 104 people uh, in color announcers, and I'm talking about. I've been very fortunate working with some great human beings and people of great accomplishment in athletics. Hall of Famer James Lofton, Hall of Famer John Riggins, Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, uh, Fred Lynn, Jim Cott. I mean, Warren Moon. I mean, I've worked with some guys that just mind blowing. Did a U.S. Open closed circuit broadcast at Flushing Meadows with Tracy Austin and Pam Shriver. Um, yeah, it's just been I've been so lucky in that regard. So once you get up, I think the fact that when I work with those people and when I'm talking about the game and setting them up, they say, wait a minute, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's clearly played the game. Maybe not on a pro level, but he's played the game and he understands the nuances, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. And I am really proud of that aspect of my life that I bring to the gig.
I got a question from a on social media. I like to try to get questions for my guests from social media people. And Curtis Knopf, a guy I know, he's a Seattle guy. He has a question for you, David. It connects with Olivia's question about catchers. He wants to know who your favorite catcher is in history. He wants to know specifically if you had to pick between Johnny Bench, Roy Campanella, Josh Gibson, Yogi Berra, but if you have another catcher, feel free to mention another one. And as part of this question, he wants to know, does Cal Raleigh have a chance to be as good as some of those aforementioned Hall of Fame catchers?
Wow, but time's only going to tell him that. I mean, Cal's still probably got a good 8, 10 years to go. I mean, love Cal. I am not putting him in that group right now. I mean, come on. I mean, you got to go with. I, when I was growing up, let's see, first World Series I remember was 1957. And who was the catcher? Yogi Berra. Who was the catcher? 57, 58, 60, 61. I mean, you got to go with Yogi Berra. And then right after that, everything I've read and heard about, Roy Campanella, he's got to be right there. Johnny, I mean, and the separation we're talking about is minimal. Yogi, 11 or 12 World Series rings. Campanella's got one, couple of, at least two, if not three MVPs. Johnny Bench was tremendous. I mean, just his footwork, his catching ability, the innovation of wearing the helmet. He made that just part of the modern catcher. Catching with the one hand, getting the offhand behind you so you don't get nicked up. And I had long fingers. I was lucky. I don't have broken fingers or anything like that. So you get Berra, Campy, Bench,
and Josh Gibson, great.
and Josh Gibson. I mean, everything. The multiple times I've watched Buck O'Neill videos and the times I had conversation with them. I mean, you're talking those five guys. We're talking the separation is like razor thin. I mean, we're talking the super elite of the super elite. Cal Riley's made himself into a hell of a catcher. The hitting speaks for itself. And now it's just a matter of doing it consistently over a reasonable amount of time before you can even consider putting him in that category. Griffey, no question. And it's just interesting how you hear from certain fan bases love their guys and they want to put them in with the elites after 1 or 2 years. I mean, this was a fabulous year that Cal, is coming off of. And strong argument that, he should have been MVP. But, before you put him, he's got a ways to go before you put him in Mount Olympus.
So between Bench, Campanella, Josh Gibson, and Yogi Berra, you probably go with Yogi. You had to pick one of those four.
Because he won so freaking much,
Yeah.
I got to go with that. I mean, I'm a Wilt Chamberlain guy, but Mr. Russell won 11 or 12 rings. So against Wilt's Wilt won one with Philly and one with LA. So yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
don't always I don't always thoroughly define somebody by how many rings they have because that would take away from Billy Williams and Ernie Banks and a whole bunch of other guys. But I mean, Yogi's impact with the Yankee Ball Club, forget about it. You can
Olivia,
tell him
jump
from
in.
New York. You can tell him from New York. Yeah, forget about it.
It ain't over till it's over.
Yeah.
What do you think about Felix's Hall of Fame chances?
I'd love to see him get in. He had about a 4 or 5 year period where he was as good as anybody. He got screwed by an awful offense that was consistently awful. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He kept them in games and he could pitch into the seventh inning. And which is now, I mean, his peak ended around 13 or 14, but it's ridiculous that the analytic guys have taken over so much. They don't, for the most part, they don't want any pitcher going through a lineup a third time. Teach him how to do it. I mean, and you don't have to throw 100 every pitch. Glavine and Maddox, they're in the Hall of Fame. They weren't hard throwers, but they knew how to pitch, the art of pitching. Felix mastered the art of pitching. I wish he had taken better care of himself so he had some more longevity, could have stayed in Seattle another 3 to 5 years. Because if he had stayed at that rate for another 3 to 5 years, this is a no-brainer. He probably goes in this year. Koufax had that dominant 5, 6 year period. Felix's dominance wasn't quite that much, but it was really good, and when you compare it to his peer group, it was darn good. And that's as we move forward, And the way guys break down, the numbers, and there's new numbers every year. There's new ways to quantify things. He can eventually find himself in the Hall of Fame.
Dave, it's real quickly. We talked about Felix's Hall of Fame chances here on my show back in late 2019, and we were both talking about Felix versus Koufax. Do you know Felix's WAR is actually higher than Sandy Koufax's? Is that incredible?
Saying something. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The numbers. I'm going to pump the brakes here because Koufax is one of of all the guys I grew up, my favorites and idolized in the 60s. Yeah, and God love him. He's 90 years old. I still want to meet him and get a picture with him. I got a picture with
Me too.
Drysdale and Mays and Mantle and people like that. Matter of fact, I was just watching something on YouTube about Koufax. I mean, his dominance in a 6-year period was off the chart. I mean, I did 300 strikeouts, 27 wins. He won 3 Cy Youngs when they're only giving out 1 Cy Young. I mean, yeah, I pumped the brake. I mean, you can say all you want about that WAR being the same, but I'm not. That's not a total sale by any stretch of imagination. Believe me. And when the vote was coming out, I remember tweeting something. It was like I said something about I was lucky enough to call the Felix peak years. I'm proud of it and hope he gets in. He may get in. He may get in.
We'll take whatever we can get over here.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody describes Seattle, I was just working with somebody in basketball. Seattle's a sneaky good sports town, and I think a lot of the country is really not aware of it. And as I found, I did basketball beyond with Coach K for about 18 years, and we had Michael Wilbon on one time, and Dave, what happened? You disappeared. I said, I'm in Seattle and we're not winning. If you start getting consistent winners, like when the Sonics were rolling, people know where Seattle is. You got screwed, losing a basketball team. The baseball teams only had a few, glorious moments, and that's still not made the World Series. Hawks have been to 4 Super Bowls and won 2, should be 3. I think that baseball, anything, if the Mariners were to break through and win a World Series or 2, I think Seattle then becomes more in the conscience or the consciousness, if you will, of sports fans in the Midwest and East Coast.
We're not just Southern Alaska, Dave.
You said it, I didn't.
Go ahead, Olivia.
Thoughts on the A's in Sacramento? Because spent a lot of time going to Oakland and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't make that trip to Sacramento last year because that 3 games, 4 days, whatever it was leading into coming to Seattle. So I came to Seattle and hung out with my son, and Boomer Esiason lost his mind because I deigned to take a few days off, which everybody in baseball does. But I like what the Oakland, they're always going to be Oakland. I like that the A's can hit. It's about the pitching. I don't know what kind of pitching they have, but the Rucker kid is really good. Butler's really good. Langoliers can swing it. The Wilson kid at shortstop's really good. So on certain days they can hurt you. If your starter's not on his game, you can be in trouble.
They always have our number.
What's that?
They always have our number, which is annoying.
It was annoying when I got there in 07, and they were still pretty good. And I think over the first 4 years I was there, I know they won the division at least once, if not twice. And they always had good teams, and they had some flair about it. Not the flair the 72-3-4 teams had, but they had some guys, some cool customers out there, and brutal stadium in Oakland, just brutal. It should have been blowed up a long time ago. And I understand this will be my first trip to Sacramento this year, so it'll be baseball. I did football. No, I did basketball there 1 year. They're the kind of team, they can nip at your heels and they can hurt you if you're not paying attention.
It's super unfortunate that Oakland lost another team, especially when they are kind of getting fun and are actually putting money and effort into the team now. So
well, that's on ownership.
Yeah.
They should have had a new ballpark. I was there 18 years and they kept talking about that ballpark going back to 07, 08, 09. And here we are, 2026, and they never, didn't get it done. And now they, they'll be in Vegas. So, that's probably putting a lot of onus on the ownership, a lot of onus on baseball. So, the boys here in Sixth Avenue,
Dave, I back to one of these other random Sports Untold questions. I had Chris Cillizza, formerly of CNN, on my show, and he wrote a
Oh,
book
Chris.
about the presidents in sports. Chris is a sports guy too,
Oh yeah.
and so this question's a little more timely now because it's President's Day week. Dave, you were born during the Eisenhower years. If you could spend a half hour with any president in your lifetime, beginning with Eisenhower, to have a sports only conversation with, not necessarily who your favorite president is, who would you want to, of all your presidents in your lifetime from
All right. Let me let me let
19,
me count. So you got
yeah,
Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. I would probably say, because I was a young kid and I was totally moved by him, I would say Kennedy would definitely be number one. Obama would be two. I understand that George W. Bush is and I don't understand, I know he's a hell of a baseball fan, a hell of a sports fan. I would put him number three. I had a guy that I guess was one of his lead PR guys who I knew from the NBA. He used to be the Mavericks PR guy. And I remember saying, Kevin, I don't agree with your boy's politics. He said, yeah, but you would love talking baseball with him. And I think that would be cool. And that's still well, at least that I've ever seen, the greatest first pitch for my money in the history of baseball after 9/11. He's in New York, perfect. And he's got the bulletproof vest on and nice rhythmic boom. And from the mound, and he threw a strike. That was a great moment. That's a great piece of video. And I'm trying to think of all the pictures and videos I've seen of president. Yeah, that's the best one. That's got to be the best one. Because, a lot of guys, you just throw it like a dart. I mean, he did the whole boom, and it was wonderful. And again, I didn't vote for him either time, but I mean, that was really good.
when Chuck Todd was on this podcast, he was talking about W's great throw during that World Series game. So you'd pick JFK? He'd be the president you want to talk sports with in your lifetime? He'd be number one, you think?
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
was when Eisenhower, Kennedy, when he was elected, he was a young dude. He was cool. He was good looking. He had the whole freaking package. World War II hero. I mean, I don't know how you are, Paul, but let's see. When he got what 19, that was the November 60. So I was seven.
I'm 55, born
Yeah. Okay.
70.
So
Okay, yeah.
he, I mean, he was just this dude, and he was young and everything. Everybody was fired up. I mean, at least in where I grew up. I grew up in Philly, and certainly segregation was still there during that time, and people were still catching hell in the South, and you know. But I would say him, and then Obama. Talk about cool. I mean, Obama. I mean, and Clinton too. I'm a big Clinton guy. I worked. I did a basketball game, a lot of games with this one fella, and he said, and I think he's Republican, but he said, I have this friend, and he was at a get together, and he's run into Clinton three times. Said, don't like his politics, but as a guy, absolutely love him. And the guy, I mean, so you talk about Kennedy, Clinton, Obama, of the whole group, and LBJ was charismatic. Reagan's charismatic. Those probably be the most charismatic of that group since I've been a kid.
Pure baseball, W. Bush would be really interesting to talk to you.
No doubt. I mean, it was owner. He was the owner of
Yeah.
the Rangers there for a long
Right.
time. And don't forget, his father was evidently a pretty good player at Yale.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Go ahead, Olivia.
My dad and I are trying to see all of the stadiums. We've gone to about, I think, 15 now.
For
Kansas
you.
City's my number one. What's your number one? And then also considering the city and what you get to do when you're there.
I can say this. I like the aura of old Yankee Stadium. This is a lot of people describe the current one as a mall. T-Mobile Park is fabulous. They did just about, I know it's the worst home run hitting ballpark in baseball, but in terms of seating, the ambiance, how they take care of you in the ballpark. That's really good. All right, so that I'm a little prejudiced, so I'll put those two to the side. In terms of the aesthetics of the ballpark, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Wrigley, uh, Boston, because Boston's an East Coast town and it's it's an important city, and it's Philly and Boston as an entry is the top two sports towns in the country. The ferocity of both places is unmatched, and New York with just a razor's edge behind them. Yeah, if you like beef and whatnot, and was it the World War II Museum and the Negro League Museum, Kansas City is definitely a good place to be. Uh, One of the great things they ever did was take the AstroTurf out of there. The stories from back in the day when the AstroTurf was there was horrible. With the heat, you can see the heat rising. It's seen from Lawrence of Arabia, and you see that heat rising. Um, don't Texas our broadcast booth. I mean, yep, they're Sputnik. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's what I've heard.
It's terrible.
It makes sense.
And I mean, if you wanted to put suites up there, but I'm trying to help sell your product by calling a game. I need to be able to see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh made that mistake. Washington made that mistake. Texas made that mistake. Atlanta did it. So you get the voices of the game. We're trying to move products, sell the game, and you got us up halfway to the moon. So that's not good. But those are my favorites. I'm trying to think of some other. Well, at Dodger Stadium. Dodger Stadium is what, the third oldest after what, Wrigley and Fenway. I consider that super cool. The vista there is ridiculously fun, unbelievable. Booth named after Mr. Scully, probably my number one or two broadcast hero. So that means a lot going there.
Dodger Stadium, we haven't been for a game. We're trying to go for a game at each. But we did the tour and we love those tours.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see or to have people tell you about every aspect of it and the history. You get a really cool history lesson, especially there.
Yeah,
They've kept so
that
much.
one stairwell, you see that picture of Jackie Robinson, waving as he's going into the clubhouse. You got that hallway with all the MVPs and gold gloves.
So cool.
The one thing it is lagging, that was built in what night? It was opened in '63, I think it was. The broadcast booths are not good, and I wish they could modernize them. But other than that, and the other thing too. So I was there last year with the Yankees, and the year before with the Mariners. Their sound system, you might as well have a fleet of 747s with the engines turned up high. Their sound system, dead straightaway center field, to aim right at the press box. And I remember last year talking to Susan Walden, the year before talking to Rick Rizzs, and it's like had the headphones on, you take them off, and you're screaming, and he's like 2 arms length away. That's ridiculous. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, that hurts. Not good.
Interesting. I love the inside stuff.
Dave, I've asked you a couple other podcasts you've been on about some of your favorite athletes and favorite sports broadcasters. I don't think I've ever asked you this particular question. Who are some of your favorite non-sports broadcasters in history?
Oh, that's a good one.
I can throw out some names.
No. I'm thinking Tom Brokaw, because I had a chance to talk to him, ran into him a few times when I was at WNBC, and he was upstairs. We were on the second floor; they were on the fourth or fifth floor. Cronkite, obviously. Huntley, Brinkley, all those guys. Mike Wallace, the 60 Minutes. Ed Bradley, I knew Ed Bradley. Went to school with my aunt.
Loved Ed Bradley.
Wow. Yeah, it was great. Almost the entire crew. Morley Safer, Ed Bradley, Dan Rather, Mike Wallace.
Pick one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Who's your non-sports broadcaster in history, Dave? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I got it. Cronkite used to live down the street from me near the UN, so I have to go with him because
Cronkite.
Yeah, especially for my generation. I mean, yeah.
Love
all those
Brokaw.
other guys are huge, man. Really huge. And obviously there's local guys that are around. I know I had some good ones in Philly.
Love it.
I have my final question here. What's your best Seattle sports memory, both as a fan and as a broadcaster?
Well, a Calhoun run against Oakland to get us in the playoffs, and he was at 22. Closely followed by the Felix Perfecto in 2012. There was another moment where Ichiro walked off Mariano Rivera with the home run because I remember saying, "Folks, we got a couple of future Hall of Famers going head to
That's
head, swinging a drive." That
that's
was a
one of the ones, that's one of my first memories ever. I love that you just said that. I can play it in my mind. I'm sitting in the seats that we always sit in, and oh my God, that's so cool that you mentioned that one. That's like my all-time.
yeah. Itch was really something. Let's see. By the time I got there, he had been what he came up in '01. So yeah, he was still well. He was very much in his prime. Yeah, and then even when he came back, he did some neat things. And I just saw on the website yesterday, maybe the day before, he was his throwing partner. He and Julio. He's never late. I mean, Ichiro's going to be 65 and still be out there running running poles and doing long toss. He's unbelievable.
I guess I do have one more question then based off of that one. Do you have any really good Ichiro stories?
I wore a pink tie one time, and he was giving me crap. I said, "You're busting my chops with the nonsense you wear. What are you nuts?"
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, he
Jim,
is
you get two
very
more in.
avant. At least he was very avant-garde. Some of the stuff he wore.
I get two more questions in, Dan. I'll let
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, sure.
All right, thanks. You cover a baseball superstar, Aaron Judge. Just so much fun to watch. Even when he lets me down as a Mariners fan, he's such a jewel of a player. Just tell us more about Aaron Judge to a couple regular fans here. What kind of guy is he? Just kind of talk about Aaron Judge a little bit.
Well, he took a picture with Trump, but whatever. The um, really good guy. Teammates love him. Uh, I'll call him, El Capitan, the cap. He takes care. He sets a tone and with the ball club, and he works his tail off. I mean, he just doesn't show up. He's a better right fielder. I knew he was good, but he's a better right fielder than I thought he was. He's got a really, hopefully they say his arm is, back to normal. He's got a cannon for an arm. For a guy 6'7", a rip 280, he can run. He can cover gap to gap. He can cover his gap to his right. Um, One of the great moments that I've ever seen in sports, Cabrera, Oswaldo Cabrera slides into home at Seattle when we were there last year and breaks his ankle. First guy out was Judge. And he was, comforting the kid. He was down, had his face in the dirt with him. The kid goes to that, the game. I forget who won the game. The game's over. The kid's in the hospital. And I guess after surgery or whatever, after being taken care of, first guy that Cabrera sees is Judge with a bunch of the other guys behind him. So, I mean, that pretty much tells you, everything you need to know there. Let's see, his little girl's probably coming up on maybe almost a year now. So he loves being a dad, and everybody connected. I know the players, they want to get him a ring, and I think that's, there was a lot of beefing going on about, the Yankees are running it back. You got to remember, it's still the best offensive team in baseball last year. 94 games, tied for the most in the American League. I think third or fourth overall. And you got Garrett Cole coming back, and so they got a shot. They got a shot here, and that's
Yeah, you happy the Yankees signed Paul Goldschmidt to a 1-year deal?
yeah. And his role will be a little bit limited from his his superstar days, but there's nothing wrong with that. He's smart. Another team devoted guy, loves the game, prepares like crazy. Uh, he's a guy that he's a voice there. And I remember last year, last year was his first year, and Aaron Boone talked about it. He said, "Hey," Goldie came in and said, "Hey, whatever, whenever, I'm here for you. You need me to say something? You need me, hey, I'll lead off, put me wherever you want. Just want to play, just want to win." And real quiet, a quiet guy, keeps himself for the most part. So, I mean, he's easy to talk to, but he doesn't tell you a whole lot. Um, Just a good guy, and he comes in shape, and he'll be a tremendous mentor to Ben Rice this year. And I was more happy. I was happy with that, but I was very happy when they signed Bellinger because we needed him. He's a valued player, all three outfield positions. Plays first base like he's been a Gold Glove winner. Hits for power, especially in our ballpark. So I thought that was exciting to have him back. And I just saw before you guys called. I don't want to get hung up on MPH, but Garrett Cole was throwing 97 in the bullpen. So I know the original forecast of him coming back in June. Hopefully he doesn't rush too much and then screw it up and get it delayed. But when he comes back, man, look out.
Here's my final subject, Dave, and we'll let you go. I've been so generous of your time again. The Hall of Fame inductees, I believe, so far in 26, I think in late 25, are Andrew Jones and Carlos Beltran and Jeff Kemp. What do you think of those three gentlemen getting in? And I see Manny Ramirez is off the ballot for the time being. Anyhow, can you just give some thoughts to the three that got in? And I thought Manny Ramirez is a pretty good player, you know?
He was a great player. Had he not been such a knucklehead with the drugs and everything, he would have been an auto. He would have been a gimme. Uh, was that Andrew Jones? No problem. Great center fielder. Hit what 420 something home runs. Jeff Kent probably. I think he hit more home runs than any second baseman. And was an impact player everywhere he played. And who was the third guy?
Carlos Beltran, Carlos.
Beltran, great switch hitter. I mean,
Yeah,
top three
yeah.
switch hitter all time. I didn't really have a problem with that. What was it last year? Dave Parker and Dick Allen went in. Who went in the old timers was Kent. Kent was the old timer this year. That's right. Jeff
Really
Kent.
glad Parker got in before he passed too. I'm glad he was able to see
Yeah,
himself.
he at least saw it. I mean, Dick Allen should have been 5, 10 years, 10 years ago. I know from talking to Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Joe Torre. I mean, they all said that Dick Allen, Hall of Famer, hands down in their eyes. Jim Cott. It's something. Sometimes you wish that the players had or some designated players from their era would have had a vote because they'd have been in a long time ago while Dick Allen was still alive.
One guy who eventually got in it was a nine-time All-Star. Went to Franklin High School in Seattle, Ron Santo, but he got in posthumously. He never saw himself
Yeah,
getting,
good player.
yeah,
Good
which was kind
player
of
on some
sad.
bad teams.
Yeah.
And the heartbreak of '69. Yeah, I remember that. I just remember Sano, Banks, and Williams, when I was growing up in Phillies, they let the Whiz Kids team get old, didn't really make a lot of moves, to stay current. But Sano, Banks, Billy Williams used to just tear up the Phillies when I was a kid. I remember that. Two bad teams, but those guys, boy, they were great.
Dave, I can't forget if I asked this before, but this is probably the final question. Where do you come out on guys like Clemens and Bonds and Rodriguez? Do you have where do you come out on that whole debate?
And Pete Rose too. I mean,
Pete
I
Rose too,
think
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I would. I think the older I get, I think I'd say put them in, but boy, there'd have to be on a separate wall and with a lot of asterisks. Why? I mean, you're not supposed to take the PEDs. We can get into the whole thing, but PEDs were a lot of guys said it was just used to recover because of the grind of the season 162 games, 180 days, and it kicks your ass. Um, it doesn't make you, it doesn't improve your eyesight, it doesn't make you a better hitter, but the recovery, so you're fresh and then you can go. I get that. But I mean, those guys put up tremendous numbers. They made a lot of bad decisions, with everything, rules right in front of them. But they were Hall of Fame talents.
for
But
sure.
I don't. It could be one of the situations. When they're gone, they'll get in. So, and I hate to look at it that way, but that's probably a reality that we're going to be looking at.
Baseball has that character clause in the criteria, but I mean Ty Cobb's in, so I don't take
There's a whole bunch of
yeah,
racist and sexist and
right,
you know,
right,
hardcore alcoholics in the Hall
right.
of Fame. Absolutely, it's yeah, yeah,
Little
maybe that,
inconsistent, little
yeah,
inconsistent.
yeah.
Well, Dave, what a treat. Thanks for coming on again 4+ years later. I'm following you from 3,000 miles away usually. And well, I know Olivia really had a lot of fun today too. What a treat, Dave. We'll be in touch.